Frogs. It was made by Scholastic and the author is Justin McCory Martin.
Frog life cycle.
It has 4 chapters, and that's on the contents page. First chapter is all about frogs. The second chapter is egg to tadpole. Third chapter is froglet to frog. And the fourth chapter is all grown up. In the back, there's a glossary that's like a dictionary, and there are comprehension questions, which I'm going to want you to answer. So the first chapter is all about frogs.
All about frog.
Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. It's time to learn all about the lives of frogs. Frogs breathe with their lungs on land. Frogs breathe through their skin underwater. Frogs belong to an animal group called amphibians. This type of animal spends part of its life on land and part in the water.
Repeat, repeat, repeat. It's time to learn all about the life of frog. Frog breathe with their lungs on land. Frog breathe through their skin underwater. Frog belong to an animal group called amphibian. This type of animal spends part of its life on land and part in the water.
This picture shows you the parts of frogs. They have skin that helps them to be camouflaged. They have very big eyes. They have a flat nose, an ear that is like a circle on the side of their head, and they have feet, and there is skin between their feet called webbed feet. Here is a picture of a frog. Its eyes are on top of its head. This helps the frog see above water. Its feet are webbed. This helps the frog to swim. Frogs have big eyes. Frogs have webbed feet. But frogs do not start out looking this way. Keep reading to learn about their fantastic life cycle.
Frog part, skin, eye, nose, teeth, ear, foot. Here is a picture of a frog. Its eyes are on top of its head. It helps the frog see above water. Its feet are wet. This helps the frog to swim. Frogs have big eyes. Frogs have wet feet. But frogs do not start out looking this way. Keep reading to learn about their fantastic life cycle.
Chapter 2, Egg to Tadpole. This is a close-up picture of what a tadpole looks like inside its egg. There by the mother frog are probably thousands of little eggs that would grow into a tadpole, into a frog later. A frog begins its life inside an egg. Female frogs lay eggs in the water. Some lay 4,000 eggs at one time. This close-up shows you a newborn tadpole, what it looks like. So this is right after they come out of the egg. After a few weeks, the eggs hatch. Out swim tiny tadpoles. A tadpole does not look like a frog at all. It has a long tail and no legs.
Egg to tadpole. A frog egg look like this. A frog begins its life inside an egg. Female frogs lay eggs in the water. Some lay 4,000 eggs at one time. A newborn tadpole look like this. After a few weeks, an egg hatch. Out swim tiny tadpole. A tadpole does not look like a frog at all. It has a long tail and no legs.
The tadpole cannot leave the water. It behaves kind of like a fish. It breathes through gills. And the fast fact here shows you that fish, clams, and tadpoles all have gills. That's that little ridge right behind their eye. They have one on each side, so they're gills. Another fast fact, as the tadpole grows, its lungs grow. lungs will help it to breathe air. And it shows you in the picture that arrow says this is a back leg. So on that tadpole you can't see a front leg yet. The tiny tadpole gets bigger and bigger. When it is about 7 weeks old, it grows little back legs.
The tadpole cannot leave the water. It behaves kind of like a fish. It breathes through will. Fish can and tadpole all have will. This is a back leg. As the tadpole grows, its lung will have it to breathe in. The tiny tadpole gets bigger and bigger. When it is about 7 weeks old, it grows like back leg.
Chapter 3, Froglet to Frog. Now we can see a front leg. The arrow's pointing to a front leg. The tadpole changes a little each day. When it is about 10 weeks old, it grows tiny front legs. On this page, there is a picture of an older froglet, and it has a very small tail. After about 3 months, the tadpole turns into something called a froglet. It looks a lot like a frog, but it still has a tail. Every day, the tail gets smaller.
Froglet to frog. This is a front leg. The tadpole changes a little each day. When it is about 10 weeks old, it grows tiny front leg. This older froglet has a very small tail. After about 3 months, the tadpole turns into something called a froglet. It looks a lot like a frog, but it still has a tail. Every day, the tail gets smaller.
This is a close-up picture of a frog's skin. One day, the tail is all gone. Wow! About 4 months after hatching, the froglet is finally a grown-up frog. This fact here says a frog can jump 20 times the length of its body. So if you're 4 feet tall, you could jump 80 feet. That's a lot. Hop, hop, hop. Now the frog is ready to live on land as well as in the water.
A frog's skin looks like this. One day, the tail is all grown. Wow! About 4 months after hatching, the froglet is finally a grown-up frog. A frog can jump 20 times the length of its body. Hop, hop, hop. Now the frog is ready to live on land as well as in the water.
And here's a life cycle review. On day 1, a female frog lays an egg in the water. 2 weeks later, a tadpole hatches. It grows and changes. 3 months, a tadpole turns into a little froglet. 4 months, a froglet turns into a grown-up frog.
Life cycle review. One day, a female frog lays an egg in the water. 2 weeks, a tadpole hatches. It grows and changes. 3 months, a tadpole turns into a little froglet. 4 months, a froglet turns into a grown-up frog.
The fast fact says frogs like this can live to be 10 years old. Some of you aren't even 10 years old yet. A frog's life cycle lasts about 4 months. Do you remember the 4 main parts? Take a peek.
A frog life cycle lasts about 4 months. Do you remember the 4 main parts? Take a peek. Frog like this can live to be 10 years old.
Chapter 4 shows you all grown up. In this picture, the man is holding a frog that's called a Goliath frog. That means it's a very, very big frog. Frogs come in all different sizes. Some are as small as crickets. Others are as big as cats. On this page there are 4 different kinds of frogs. There's the tree frog, which we have here in Ohio, even on our school grounds. The next one is the tomato frog because it really does look like a tomato. The golden leaf folding frog. And the next one is the poison dart frog. I think he's the prettiest of them all, but he is the most dangerous. Frogs come in lots of colors too. Many are green, but others are red, yellow, and even bright blue.
All grown up. Frogs come in all different sizes. Some are as small as crickets, others are as big as cats. Tree frog, tomato frog, golden leaf floating frog, poison dart frog. Frogs come in lots of colors too. Many are green, but they over are red, yellow, and even green blue.
This is a picture of Wallace's flying frog. The fast fact tells us that there are 4,000 different kinds of frogs in the world. There are even flying frogs. Well, sort of. They leap from trees and glide to the ground so smoothly it looks like they're flying. This arrow is pointing to a vocal sac, and that's how the frog makes all that noise they make in the spring. And this is a gray tree frog, the kind we have on our school grounds here at Sherman. Lots of frogs make noises. Some males puff up their throats like little balloons. Then they sing. Croak, croak, croak.
There are 4,000 different kinds of frogs in the world. There are even flying frogs. Well, sort of. They live from trees and slide to the ground so smoothly. It looks like they are flying. This is called a Voskashak. Look, lots of frogs make noises. Some will purse up their throat like little parrots. Then they sing crotch, crotch, crotch.
A fast fact. Female frogs are usually bigger than male frogs. Male frogs use their singing to find female frogs. When they meet, the whole life cycle can begin all over again.
Female frogs are usually bigger than male frogs. Male frogs use their singing to find female frogs. When they meet, the whole life cycle can begin all over again.